Hey guys, Dundee here. I wanted to cover really quickly a technique called corner echoing. It's a pretty crucial skill to learn in KS2, especially against really good Zerg players. And in general, it helps survivors go a long way with, starting off their game right. So, corner echoing. There's a lot of different ways in which you can echo in a game, in this game, and I think one of the most consistent ways to start off your game is corner echoing. So, what a corner echo consists of is this very standard corner consists of two 2x2 income structures, like so, with I guess a 2x1 gap right by the corner, and one corner right by this corner right where the two walls meet. This is generally kept empty, and the other empty slot here you house an SCV there for repairing. And on the outside, right between these two buildings, you place a flashlight or vision. So the reason that a corner eco works so well in the beginning is because it's almost essentially impossible for you to lose your eco to a random link, or rather, and also like when people patrol or people look at eco spots, like some of the very obvious spots that a lot of Zerg players are going to be looking at are places like this. That's like walled off, right, with rocks, or very big areas here, or just in general very long corridors, right? Those are very obvious spots that people will look, but and they'll patrol those too, so they'll know it's there. But a lot of times with corners, there's so many freaking corners on the map that you can eco on, that it's almost impossible for them to set patrols on every single one. So that's why corners are so safe for you to really start with. The reason that you can't always corner eco forever essentially has to do with just map control and link upgrades. So quick note on map control. Essentially, if there's a lot of lings out on the map and they're moving around fast, quickly, and etc., corner ecos become very weak. Essentially, in the sense that if you have multiple lings on your corner eco, the chances of you being able to salvage it and get your money back is pretty low. So that's one point. But the second point is that when a Zerg hits its proper upgrades, right, you have less room or less time to salvage your eco in time. So, for example, Ling's at +0, so essentially any time before 6 minutes or so when Zergs generally get their +1 upgrade from melee, you can tank up to 2 Lings to salvage. So for example, if I were to salvage, or to react very quickly and salvage, right, look at that. I can actually salvage my eco in time without losing it most of the time. Just barely makes it, even with 2 Lings attacking it. With 1 Ling attacking it, right, it's a really easy salvage. Right, so it's pretty easy to salvage against Zerglings, especially just with one of them. And even with 2, as long as you react fast enough, I feel like you can salvage quickly enough. With +1 Zerg melee attack with 2 Lings on your eco, I mean you've lost that building. There's no way you're getting that. But with 1 upgrade, right, where the Lings do 15 damage, a lot of the time you have ample time to salvage. You just have to react quickly enough. Boom, and you get it. One thing to note is that after they hit +1 melee, you're not going to be able to salvage in time if there's 2 Lings attacking 1 eco building. And with +2 melee, it's essentially impossible for you to corner eco. If you're really lucky and you salvage right in time, like if you start salvaging as soon as the Ling starts attacking it and you react fast enough because you happen to be looking at the right spot, you will be able to salvage just barely. But I mean, a lot of the time by that point, you're not gonna have that kind of reaction speed, and you will end up losing your corner eco. So corner eco is a really good way to start the game, right? But essentially you need to start ecoing in larger areas as the game goes along. You can't hide these forever. But anyways, let's talk about the purpose of these buildings. So the reason we build them like this, right, is that one, I can't demonstrate it here in Sandbox, but you just gotta take my word on this. When you build a building in the corner, right, like so, you build it in the corner with no gap in it, in this cell, generally, or even when you have units there, right, generally when Zerglings pass by this little corner thing on the high ground, right, they will be able to spot it, right? So on the minimap, if you have an SCV sitting there, right, the Zerglings will be able to see that SCV, and it'll show up on the minimap, and good Zergs will notice, like they see everything on the map. So that's why you don't want to keep your SCV right in the corner. You want to keep it in this other cell, right? All along the wall, the Zerglings, in this part of the wall, they won't be able to see anything. But as soon as they touch the corner like this, they brush it, right? They're gonna see what's there. They have vision on that. So that's why you don't want to build anything here either, right? Because if you build the building in the corner and you just keep Zerg keep walking by it, then they're gonna gain vision. It's gonna leave a permanent mark on the Zerg's map, and they'll see that there's a eco there, and you're not gonna know that they saw it, so you're just gonna get wiped. It's simple as that. So that's why you leave this one gap in the corner. Don't keep your SCV there. You keep your SCV in the other gap, right? And the SCV will essentially repair the buildings for you whenever Zergling attacks it, right? So, really important that you keep the SCV there to buy you more time for the salvage. A lot of the time, if you don't have the SCV there, you're not going to get the salvage off most of the time. So one thing here to note is the placement of the flashlight. So the reason, I guess rather the flashlight itself. So the reason the flashlight is there obviously is to give you vision, just so that you can see if a Ling is coming, right? You can see if the Ling is going directly for your corner eco and is about to kill it, right? And you can start your salvage early. The reason that I have a +1 flashlight here is just for the high ground vision. So for example, if you just have a regular flashlight at level 0, right, you don't often have enough vision to cover the high ground. A lot of the time, if there's a Kerrigan, right, and we all know Kerrigans generally have very, very good vision, right, like so, it's a pretty wide radius. If you just have an unupgraded flashlight, even if the Haka passes by, like this little green square that I've highlighted, they will be able to see the corner eco, but you won't be able to see it. Even if they pass by this corridor, unless they're hugging the wall, you're just not going to be able to see them, right? So that's why it's so important for you to at least upgrade the +1, just so that you can cover the whole area, right? And you will be able to see the Haka approaching, or any Kerrigan really. And as the game goes along and you have more valuable eco, so maybe let's say like 2+8, right? Which is still risky, right? But pretty easily hidden. Right? You should start upgrading your flashlight, even if it costs you some money, right? More vision is generally better. And you will be able to see the Kerrigan on the high ground. They won't be able to do anything unless they have ranged units, right? And when you see them on your minimap, you will be able to salvage quite quickly in time. So always have that vision, the flashlight, always upgrade to +1 at least, and your corner eco will be generally safe. So now we've talked about how to corner eco. Let's see how you shouldn't corner eco. I have 2 examples here, right? I saw this the other day. So here's a very criminal one. Issue with this one is that yes, you're in the corner, but there are 2 issues here. One is that the SCV is in the corner where the Lings can see it if they pass by this patch on the high ground, right? Good Zergs will see that. Even if it doesn't leave a permanent mark on their minimap, they are going to see something weird and they're going to send Ling there, right? And you're going to end up losing your eco. Another issue is that when you put the flashlight on the inside of the corner eco like this, your SCV is not able to reach this other little income generator, right, to repair it. And the issue with that is that, especially when the Zergling have hit +1, right, like your window for salvage is pretty low, and even when you start salvaging immediately, like you have a little bit of health left, right? If you're not able to repair your income generator to slow down the rate at which your thing is dying, you're just gonna end up losing it. There's no way for you to save that. So let's try it with +1 eco, right? Start salvaging, right? I mean, it's gonna work. Nope, you lose it, right? Even though I started it immediately as the Link started attacking it, you're just not gonna have the reaction speed. So always build your flashlight on the outside, like so, right? It's okay for you to lose your flashlight. You can just rebuild it by blinking your SCV out, right? Another one is obviously, this one's very egregious. I see people doing this all the time to try and imitate corner ecos. Don't build in the corner. Leave that gap, like so. At least leave this little gap that we have, right? If you build directly in the corner, Lings are gonna see it as they pass through, right? I mean, just don't do this, right? So that's how you corner eco. Always have your corner eco on a hotkey, so you can always cycle back between your hero and your corner eco. What I like to do, I do my things with my hero, look back at my corner eco, go back to my hero, look back at my corner eco, just to make sure no Lings are approaching it, right? And if I see a Ling coming very close to it, directly heading for it and start attacking it, right, I'm gonna just salvage the whole thing, right? Especially against good Zergs, like they're gonna see it on the minimap, and if you rebuild in the same spot, they can usually just kill it. What I would always recommend after losing a corner eco is just move your SCV to another corner, just build there, right? Just start over. That's okay. So, actually, I forgot to cover a third corner eco that you shouldn't build. is essentially this. Looks like a corner eco, like a regular old corner eco. It is missing an SCV. I should probably send one there. Let's try that. So, issue with this one is that it's touching the edge of the map. In general, in KS2, this is a principle that not a lot of people know. Even veterans don't really know this. I think Tripto is the one who found it, but you don't want to be ecoing on the edge of the map. When I say edge of the map, I mean like literally like the edge, like the darkness, right? Like this back area, right? You don't want to eco there. You don't want any buildings. If you want to keep your buildings not found by Zerglings, you don't build it next to this black wall. No matter if it's on high ground or low ground, it doesn't matter. The reason for this is that, well, it's a little complicated to explain, but the way that corner ecos work, right, is that when you have this area walled off, it becomes less likely for a random Zergling pathing to find it. The reason is that, let's say if the Zergling paths directly into the inside of this corner eco, right, it's not able to go there because it's blocked, right? The only way it's going to be able to get to that corner eco is essentially there's a little patch, like a little patch of places where you can path into, and it'll actually touch the corner eco instead of pathing it the other way. Right? It's like on the edge of the buildings and a little bit on the center here, right? But anywhere within, right? If they path into it, they're just gonna go the opposite way. So same thing here. Like if I path into the corner, they'll go the other way. If I path onto the wall or above it on the high ground, they're just not gonna go in there, right? The issue with this ecoing on the black edge right here is that when you have lings, the lings can actually path into the edge like so. You see how it's pathing like, into the black area, into the darkness? I think random lings can also just path a lot further than this as well. Like literally into the black area. I think so. The reason that this is bad is because, let's say I like path here, right? Obviously the lings are not going to be able to go into the corner eco, right? They're not really able to go into it. But when they path into the black area behind the corner eco, right? You see how they just path into the corner, right? So what this is there's more area, right? Generally in a corner eco, there's just a little patch on the buildings themselves and a little bit in the center where the links can go into in order for them to like path into it. But you're opening up yourself to liability, or rather like a much higher chance the lings running into it, right? Because if they happen to path into this black area, they're gonna find your corner eco, right? So don't corner eco like this. Don't build eco on the edge of the map. It's generally frowned upon unless you literally have no other option, right? There are plenty of corners on the map that you can build on, right? Just not on the black edge. So now that's done. Let's talk about some alternative ecos with other classes that don't involve an SCV. For your standard corner eco, your SCV is pretty important for repairing, but a lot of classes don't have SCVs. So, for example, Stukov, right? One of my favorite things to do with Stukov is starting with a corner eco, just so it's not found, right? You can do a regular corner eco like so, but obviously your pools cannot be repaired. So what I like to do to buy time for the salvage to go up is just leave 1 or 2 groups of infested, civilians there. They don't cost that much, right? You just leave them here, right? If the ling runs in, they'll attack the civilians instead, and that gives you enough time to salvage. If you're greedy and the civilians, 4 civilians can kill a Zergling. If they kill the Zergling, you feel like you're safe, but against bad Zergs, you can do that. They're not going to notice the corner eco, but against really good Zergs, like they're going to see the ping, and they're going to know there's a corner there, and they will send the link ball, and you're going to end up losing everything, right? So that's the case on the low ground, right? On the low ground, you want to leave that gap, right? So that, oh, that's not really a good example because of this rock. I'll talk about it why in a sec, but essentially you want to leave this gap here, right? Just so the passing links don't see it and you don't lose everything. On the high ground, honestly, it doesn't matter as much. On the high ground, there's like, you can't see things from the low ground. So, you can just build right in the corner like so, right? And it literally doesn't matter. And you can just cover it with whatever, right? So on the high ground, you can do whatever you want, just not on the low ground. Leave that gap. Another alternative eco, essentially maybe with Helios. So Helios is quite interesting in that our priests priests and havens don't really have an ability to repair things, but you can still corner eco. The reason you would want to corner eco to Helios, I mean, I think also like a lot of players they disagree on this. I know some players do this because they're greedy. Some players don't because they're safer players. But what you can do is essentially chrono boost your priest, right? What happens when you chrono boost your priest for gas is that you obviously get money faster, but you remove your cloak on the standard, the standard eco that Helios has, right? They're generally cloaked, right? But with a chrono, that's removed. So what you can do, the Helios that has a chrono boosted eco, like the priest, is just corner eco. It looks quite funny, but you can just do this, right? And when a Zergling comes, right, let's spawn a Zergling. When a Zergling comes, right, and then they kill the corner and they walk away without checking the inside, you can just rebuild the corner, right? It's kind of a funny way. I don't think it works that well, but you can choose to do it if you want to. Maybe experiment with it and see what works for you, right? I mean, I like to play it safe. Another type of corner eco we can do. I think generally with larger buildings, there is a unique thing you can do. So for example, Ares or Mira, I guess, you'll have an eco building that's not a 2x2. The advantages of this is pretty subtle. Essentially, it's the fact that you can have two SCVs repairing something at the same time. Right? Oh, I forgot the flashlight. Do that. So the unique aspect of this, right, is that when you have a corner eco like this, it's pretty tanky. You have a Zergling attacking it, right? If you have two SCVs repairing it, you know, I mean, you're obviously able to, you know, get a salvage effect better, right? This Zergling is really abnormal. It's really powerful, 30 damage. But, so that's one advantage of having slightly larger buildings. I think the issue here is that the patches of vulnerability, what I like to call, like, it's basically where the link can path into to kind of get into the eco. It's a little bit larger, so you know you have a higher chance of being found. But anyways, just remember how to corner eco. Try it in your next game. It's really useful. I corner eco with most classes when I start the game. I know a lot of people take those big greedy eco spots, but I only do that with certain classes. Most classes with an SCV, I will start with a corner eco, and when I farmed enough gas, I will take a larger area and corner boost on my eco, transfer it over. So, yeah, good luck, have fun.